The Flying Deuces, released November 1939. Welcome to Radio Films. A voice narrative has been added to this classic film, so you can enjoy this show even if you are sight-impaired or otherwise not able to view it. Starring Stan Laurel, Oliver Hardy, Gene Parker as Georgette, Reginald Gardiner as Francois, Charles Middleton as the Commandant, Jean Delval as the Sergeant, Clem Wilenchick as the Corporal, and James Finlayson as the Jailer. Production Advisor, Rudolph Mattei. Directed by A. Edward Sutherland. The story begins in Paris, France. An artist at a cafe sketches a picture of Stan and Ollie. The boys are sharing a drink at a small table.
Oh, that's fine. There you are.
Thank you.
Gee, that's swell photography. Well, we better get back to the hotel and get our things packed, because the boat sails at 12 o'clock tonight.
Not for me, it doesn't.
What do you mean?
I've decided to stay a while. In fact, if my plans work out right, I may never go back.
Well, you've got to go back or we'll lose our job at the fish market in Des Moines.
So what? There are plenty of fish markets here in Paris. Garçon?
Oui, monsieur.
Another glass of milk and 2 fresh straws.
The waiter walks away, shaking his head.
You know what? I think you're hiding something from me.
Ollie lifts up his tie to his chin, smiles, and flaps the tie end repeatedly, his patented sign of happiness. At an inn, one of the serving girls has received chocolates and a picture from Ollie.
Something I sent you to eat, Ollie.
Oh, that's too funny. But the flowers are beautiful.
Who is he? He's the American guest, number 4. But we must not ridicule his generosity. Really, he and his friend are very kind.
The boys return to go back to their room upstairs. Stan waves at a girl and runs into a wall. Ollie smacks him on the backside with his cane.
Mr. Harvey!
Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you for your photograph
You're welcome.
and for the beautiful flowers
Oh, shucks. It was just a thought.
and the delicious chocolates.
Well, I thought maybe you might want something to nibble on while you were smelling the flowers.
Ollie goes upstairs, then pops back around the corner and flaps his tie with glee.
What are you so happy about?
Stanley, can you keep a secret?
Sure.
I'm in love.
You don't tell me. Who is it?
The most gorgeous creature in the world. Georgette, the innkeeper's daughter.
Well, I don't blame you. She sure is a swell dish.
She certainly...
Yes, sir.
Don't call her a dish. She's the girl that I'm going to marry. Get a load of this diamond ring.
He pulls out a ring, and sparkling flashes appear all around the room. It's so bright that it hurts Stanley's eyes to look at the ring.
Say, when are you going to get married?
Just as soon as I ask her.
Why don't you ask her now, then we can all go out and celebrate?
That's just what I intended to do. We'll get cleaned up and I'll go down and pop the question.
That's a good idea.
Stan walks to the washstand, up against a severely pitched wall, and smashes his head on the wall. He then crouches alongside the stand and pours water into the basin. He goes around the front, places the basin on the floor, then gets up and crashes his head on the wall again. He grabs a pillow cushion, holds it on the wall with his head, bends over and starts to wash.
Keep on bumping me head. See?
The cushion has fallen in the water.
The window where you can stand up.
He puts the cushion on the bed bench, pushes the washstand over to the window, straightens up, Stanley crawls over to get a towel, straightens up, throws the towel down in frustration.
How anyone could be so stupid as to stand there and continually bump their head is beyond me.
Ollie sits down on the bed bench, which immediately squirts out massive water from the soaked cushion on it. He bends down to pick up the towel, straightens up, and bangs his head on the wall.
Why don't you stand in the window?
Why don't you mind your own business?
Downstairs in the inn,
Holiday of some sort, eh?
It's this. The girls think he's funny.
Yes, this one, yes. But remember, Georgette, you are a married woman, and Francois is a little bit jealous.
Oh, Papa, he's not serious.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the American way of having fun.
yes, might be. Well, look, you girls, there's plenty to work. Come. Francois!
It's so good to see you.
After such a long time, why didn't you let us know you were coming?
What is the surprise, Georgette? Where is she?
Georgette!
Yes, Papa. Francois! Oh, God.
Oh, my darling Georgette, I've waited every day, every hour, every minute.
My poor Francois. I worried about your way out in that lonely post in Morocco.
Oh, it was lonely, terribly lonely, but that's all over now. I've got great news for you. I made arrangements for you to join me when I go back.
Oh, darling, I'm so happy. You must be hungry. I'll get you something to eat.
Well, how about a nice cool drink?
Well, that's great. It'll just put me in the mood. Yes, sir.
Stanley is tidying up the table. He has a salt shaker in one hand. He throws the salt shaker over his shoulder. The chocolate box is still on the table. Stanley puts chocolates on a piece of bread and makes a sandwich. Ollie gets exasperated and yanks the sandwich away from him. Georgette arrives.
What can I do for you?
My friend and I would like a bottle of wine, and bring 3 glasses.
3 glasses?
We thought maybe you'd like to join us. You know, I feel as fidgety as a jitterbug.
You do?
Yeah.
What's the matter?
Well, I'm nervous. You know, Stanley, this will be the first time I've ever been married.
Say, now's a good time. Go on now. Why don't you? Oh, go on, tell her. What's the matter? You scared? I'll tell her for you, eh?
No, not now.
I know just how you feel. Let me fix it for you. I can fix it just as easy. Say, he's got something to tell you.
Something to tell me?
Yeah, he's nuts about you.
Nuts?
Just plain nuts.
Oh, wait.
No, I don't mean that. I mean he's crazy about you. He's going to marry you. Aren't you, Ollie? Go on, stop coughing.
You want to marry me?
Ollie constantly flaps his tie.
That is, if you don't mind.
I'm sure you make fun of me.
No, he's not kidding. He's on the level. Aren't you, Ollie?
I certainly. I was never more sincere in my life.
That's very nice of you, I'm sure. But that can never be.
Oh, won't you give me one chance, Georgette?
Go on, why don't you?
Is there someone else?
Oh, yes. Very much so. I'm so sorry.
Well, that's that. No use crying over spilt milk. Well, I guess we'd better be going, eh? Come on, we're...
You go ahead.
What's the matter? Aren't you going out with me?
I want to be alone.
Ollie grabs his basket of flowers, his picture, and the rest of his chocolates, and goes up the stairs to his room. Stanley follows with the nut basket and a bottle of wine.
You won't be long, darling.
No, darling, but it's absolutely necessary I report to headquarters.
Are you back right away?
Just as quick as I can.
Don't worry about it. You'll get over it, all right.
To think that this would happen to me. Just at a time in my life when I needed something real. Something wholesome. Something tender.
Why don't you try a nice, fat, juicy steak? That'll make you feel better if you have something to eat.
You don't understand. Get me some smelling salts.
Stanley retrieves some smelling salts, sniffs it, and his hat flies up over his head and back down again. He places the entire bottle over Ollie's nose.
That better, Mel?
He yanks on the bottle, but it is stuck.
Get this off!
Finally, he puts his foot on Ollie's chest, gives it a mighty pull, and dislodges the bottle.
Put some water on my head.
Ollie lays on the bed. Stanley pours a pitcher of water on his head.
Get a towel!
Stanley puts a dry towel on Ollie's head.
There. Now, is that better? Make it wet.
Stanley pours another pitcher of water on his head.
Is there anything else I can do for you?
Yes! Leave me alone!
Don't talk to me like that after all the hospital I've given you. Try to give you candy and nice fat juicy steaks. I've waited on you with your hands and feet. Tried to tell you that there's plenty more girls. You don't have to worry about that. No. If I felt as bad as you, I'd go and drown myself.
Stanley, you've given me an idea.
What?
I'm going to follow your advice.
Good.
And drown myself.
Oh, wait a minute now. Listen, I was only kidding.
This is no time for kidding.
I know, but don't you think you ought to think it over? Have you ever been drowned before?
I have thought it over, and since Georgette has given me the air, I have nothing left to live for.
Oh, don't be silly.
What do you mean, don't be silly? This is a far, far better thing I do now than I have ever done before.
Stanley sits on the wet cushion, and it sprays Ollie again. Newspaper headline: Man-eating shark escapes. Ferocious fish battles keeper in Paris aquarium. Believed at large insane. Boaters, swimmers, beware. It's nighttime in Paris. Stan and Ollie descend some stairs to the walk along the riverbank. They bring down a heavy rock and a length of rope and set them on the ground. Ollie ties the rope around his waist.
Well, goodbye, Ollie.
Goodbye, Stan.
Good luck.
Where are you going?
Well, I don't want to get my name dragged into this.
Ollie ties a rope around Stan's waist.
What's this for?
Now, when I count 3, we'll both jump in.
What have I got to jump in there for? I'm not in love.
So that's the kind of a guy you are. After all I've done for you, let me jump in there alone. Do you realize that after I'm gone, that you just go on living by yourself? People would stare at you and wonder what you are, and I wouldn't be here to tell them. There'd be no one to protect you. Do you want that to happen to you?
I never thought of that. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, Ollie.
Stan is sad and about to cry.
That's all right, Stanley. Let bygones be bygones.
They bend over to drag the weight closer to the river. As they do, Ollie is very near the water's edge, and a shark fin slides by and lightly rubs against his backside. He straightens up and looks at Stan.
Don't do that. Are you ready?
Goodbye, Ollie.
Goodbye, Stanley. 1, 2.
Ollie,
What?
I just thought of something. Listen, you remember once you were telling me that when we passed away, we'd come back on this earth in some other form? Like a bird or a dog or a horse or something?
Oh, you mean reincarnation?
Yeah, that's it. Well, now that we're going to go, what would you like to be when you come back?
I don't know. I've never given it much thought. I like horses. I guess I'd like to come back as a horse.
Huh.
What would you like to be when you come back?
Oh, I'd rather come back as myself. I always got along swell with me.
You can't come back as yourself. Now, come on and stop wasting my time. Are you ready?
Goodbye, Ollie.
Goodbye. 1, 2.
Ollie, just thought of something. Do you think the water's deep enough? Maybe you might bump your head if you just...
Ollie starts walking away to retrieve an oar, forgetting that he is tied to a heavy box. Stan lifts up the box, and they both go to get the oar. Stan sets down the box, and Ollie walks back. Same result as last time. Stan carries the box back. Ollie dips the oar in the water. A loud chomp, followed by a huge splash, erupts. He pulls the oar out, and the end has been bitten off. The shark's fin moves by the edge again, leaving broken pieces of oar in its wake. Stanley looks over the water's edge and sees his reflection.
Hey, we can't jump in there. There's a fella watching us.
Ollie looks in the water and notices nothing unusual. Francois is walking on the bridge above and hears them shouting. He looks down and sees them.
Don't leave me, Ollie.
Well, are you ready? All right.
Goodbye, Ollie.
Shut up. 1, 2.
Pardon me, gentlemen. What seems to be the trouble?
Well, if you don't mind, we're going to jump in the river.
But why commit such a foolish action? Surely your troubles can't be as bad as all that.
Well, that's what I've been trying to tell him. All because he fell in love with a dame. Now, isn't that silly?
No woman is worth that.
I should say no.
You haven't seen it. If you knew her as I know her...
I understand, but don't forget there are plenty more fish in the sea.
He's not in love with a fish. It's a girl, you see.
That's just an expression, my friend.
Oh.
I realize perfectly how you feel, but you've too much to live for.
Sure, you got your dog, and there's me, and...
Life is too precious to throw away on account of some woman who probably isn't worthy of you.
He's right, Ollie.
She's worthy, all right. But there was another man. And if I could meet him face to face, what I'd do to him would be nobody's business.
Yes, sir.
Well, advice is cheap. Maybe if you'd listen to my suggestion, your problem would be solved.
What is your suggestion?
Join the Foreign Legion.
What for?
To forget.
Say, that's not a bad idea, Ollie. Better than jumping in here. You could forget all our troubles.
You're right, Stanley. Thank you, mister, for telling us.
It was a pleasure. Goodbye and good luck.
Goodbye. Gee, that's great, isn't it? Now we don't have...
Say, we can't join the Foreign Legion. We gotta be back in Des Moines on the 17th. Well, you ready?
Whoa, just a minute, Ollie. Hey, mister, if we join the Foreign Legion, how long will it take him to forget?
No time at all. Just a matter of a few days.
As Ollie fiddles with the rope knot, Stan unties his.
We don't have to worry about it. Say, we won't
Stan picks up the rock, throws it in the river. Ollie goes flying in with it. Stan helps Ollie out of the water. Ollie bends over to get his balance when the shark's fin moves by and rips the seat of his pants. A while later, somewhere in the desert, foreign legionnaires are marching. They assemble in the garrison courtyard.
Right shoulder, hurt. Present, hurt. Order, forward. Take command, Captain.
The Commandant orders Captain Francois to take command of the drilling. Stan and Ollie, dressed in Legionnaire uniforms, enter the courtyard.
These clothes sure don't fit you very well, do they?
Oh, they'll be all right for now. We only use them for a few days until I forget.
That's right, too.
Left time. Left. Right shoulder.
They walk right in the middle of a marching formation.
What's left? Hurt.
They totally disrupt the drill. Going left when the troops are going right. Going straight when they are turning. Francois is watching in horror. They finally break ranks and approach Captain Francois.
Look who's here. Hey, Ollie, look.
Well, blow me down. What a small world. Well, we followed your advice.
Yeah, but nothing's happened yet, has it, Ollie?
Show these men to the Commandant.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll be seeing you.
Yeah, take care of
Goodbye.
yourself.
Gee,
Goodbye.
don't he look good?
Sure does.
Hey, where you gonna have dinner?
Attention!
Bye.
They arrive at the Commandant's office. Stan walks into the door.
Good morning.
I'll now assign you to your duties. Reveille at 5, you dress quickly, make up your bunks and get ready for inspection. Inspection until 7. 10 minutes for breakfast. You drill until 1 and march until 4.
What about lunch?
You'll have that while marching. You have inspection until 6. 15 minutes for mess, kitchen duties until 10, inspection until 11, then taps. That is all.
If we have to do all that, you won't have time to forget. Why don't you tell him?
How much do we get for all this work?
100 centimes a day.
Well, that's not bad.
How much is that in American money?
Oh, American money? Well, it's equivalent to about 3 cents a day. Of course, it varies with the rate of exchange.
Well, how much do we get for overtime?
There ain't gonna be any overtime. If you think that you're gonna get that much work out of me for 3 cents a day, brother, you are crazy.
Is that so?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that goes for me, too. Because we don't work for less than 25 cents a day. Do we, Ollie?
Later, under a pergola, we see Stan washing clothes and Ollie ironing them. Stan finishes a piece of clothing and takes it out to be hung up. There is a veritable city of clotheslines out there, stretching the length of a football field, 30 or 40 rows of clothing deep. After much searching, Stan spots an empty space on a line and goes for it. He hangs the clothing, puts it up to his face, shrugs his arms, then takes back the item. He walks over to a 30-foot-tall mountain of dirty clothes, climbs to the top, and picks up a piece of dirty clothing, then returns. He puts his feet up on a bench.
Come on, get to work! What do you think this is?
The sergeant and the corporal come by to check on them. They both get busy working. Stan squeezes out an item from the rinse, and it squirts all over Ollie's face. The iron was left on the clothes too long, so Ollie tries to blow off the smoke. Stan starts shoveling wash water onto the ironing board, most of which lands on Ollie's face. Ollie gets up. Stan bends over to pick something up, and Ollie burns Stan's backside with the iron. The corporal appears.
Get back to work!
Stan sprays Ollie again while twisting water out of some clothes.
Haven't I got enough trouble without you making it tougher?
Well, it's your own fault. If you hadn't fallen in love with Georgette, we wouldn't be here. Wouldn't have to
Will
do
you
it.
stop reminding me of that? Here I am trying to forget, and you keep talking about it all the time. Now here's another day wasted.
Well, maybe you don't try hard enough. If you can't forget, why don't you try and pretend to forget?
How can anybody pretend to forget?
Well, I know if it was me, I'd sit down and relax. I'd close my eyes and I'd concentrate, And I'd think of nothing. Wouldn't be long then. That's what I'd do.
Say, I think you've got something there.
I know I've got something. Why don't you take a whirl at it? Now, don't think of anything.
I won't.
I know it's tough to forget a swell gal like that. Gorgeous hair and lovely eyes, beautiful teeth, ruby lips. Gorgeous. I can see her now.
Oh. So can I. Will you shut up? How can I concentrate when you keep talking about her all the time? Now keep quiet. Let me alone. Now sit down.
As Stan sits, the corporal appears. Stan jumps up and gets busy washing clothes.
Hey, Ollie.
If you don't stop bothering me, I'm going to punch you in the nose.
The corporal punches Ollie's shoulder. Ollie thinks Stan did it and goes after him. Ollie throws a wet rag at Stan, who ducks. The rag hits a watching sergeant in the face.
You'll hear about this later.
When you get through with that washing, the cook wants you to manicure them vegetables for tomorrow's stew.
I beg your pardon?
You heard.
Well, can you beat that? How do you think we're going to do all this
Stanley,
washing?
I feel something coming over me.
You do?
A miracle has happened.
What?
I've completely forgotten.
You mean you've forgotten Georgette?
Who's Georgette?
Gee, that's swell. Now we can finish the washing and we can go home.
Finish nothing. We're going...
Ollie slides the ironing table over, unaware that this knocks the fire can over into the clothes near the clothes mountain, starting them on fire.
I found them asleep. And when I told them to go back to work, they threw wet laundry in my face.
Oh, they did, eh? Well, I'll show them what it means to disobey my orders.
Stan and Ollie leave their quarters wearing civilian clothes and carrying their suitcases.
Have you got everything? Uh-huh. Now we'll go over to that Commandant guy and tell him we're through, and at the same time, I'll give him a piece of my mind.
I don't blame you. 3 cents a day.
Ha! Left turn. Left.
The Commandant arrives at the laundry site and sees an inferno of burning laundry.
Yes, sir.
What's the big idea of keeping us waiting?
You know what?
What?
He's not here.
Well, of course he's not here.
Well, let's go look for him.
Look, nothing. I'll leave him a note.
Oh, I wouldn't bother to leave him a note. Just leave him a P.S.
Oh.
It's good enough for him.
Ollie shuffles through the desk drawer and finds a piece of paper. He scribbles a note.
Now he can put that in his pipe and smoke it.
Maybe he doesn't smoke a pipe.
Well, whatever he smokes it.
Well, you got to be careful about those things.
They grab some cigars off the Commandant's desk.
What do you say in the note, Ollie?
I said plenty, and if I could have spelled raspberry, I'd have told him a lot more.
That'll learn him. 3 cents a day.
Right.
The Commandant arrives at his office with a squadron of men. He finds the note and reads it.
Never during my army career have I been so grossly insulted. Just wait till I get my hands on them.
He leaves the office and marches with his men to find them. As Stan and Ollie pass an alleyway, the Commandant and his squad march out of the alley, going the other way.
Attention!
The squad passes an entrance, and as they pass, Stan and Ollie march behind them and follow. There is a group of Legionnaire musicians playing on a stairway landing. Stan and Ollie stop, and the squad continues marching on. The musicians switch to one of Stan and Ollie's favorite tunes. Ollie starts singing, and Stan joins in dance.
Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no loving since January, April, June or July. Snow time, tain't no time to stay outdoors and spoon. Shine on, harvest moon for me.
They both join in an old soft shoe dance.
The train leaves for Paris.
The sooner the better for me. Say, which way to the depot?
Just around the corner.
Thank you.
The boys walk out a gate. Next to the gate is the commander.
No one pass through that gate, no matter what happens.
Yes, sir. Come on.
Stan and Ollie are near an airplane hangar.
We're not going to take a plane, are we?
I should say not.
They look at the sky. 3 airplanes fly in formation.
I wonder what keeps them up.
I don't know, but I know what keeps me down.
Me too. Good old terracotta for me anytime. Promiscuously.
Francois meets a plane that has just landed. Georgette gets out and embraces him.
Now I'm so happy. At last I'm here with you. Have you missed me?
Every day has been a year, darling. I'll bring the car for you. Wait here just a moment.
Could you tell us the way to the railroad depot?
Mr. Hardy.
Georgette, so you've changed your mind. Darling, I forgive you everything.
Say, I thought you said you'd forgotten her.
Don't be silly. How could I forget my little Georgette? Oh.
He goes to hug her, and she pushes him away.
I understand. Stanley, we wish to be alone. Come on. Go ahead. Come on.
Francois arrives with the car. Ollie keeps trying to kiss Georgette, and she keeps pushing him away. Francois steams.
Oh, this is... Oh.
Oh, please, Mr. Hardy.
What's the big idea?
The idea is that this lady happens to be my wife.
Oh, is that so? Your wife?
Yes, you would-be homewrecker.
Francois, please don't. He did not understand.
Kindly step into the car, my dear. I want to speak to this gentleman alone. Now, once more, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Keep away from my wife. If I ever see or hear of you being in her presence again, I'll see to it that your worthless carcass lies sizzling in the desert sun at the mercy of the vultures. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Hey, mister, you don't have to worry about us. We're leaving right now, aren't we, Ollie?
We certainly are.
Yes, sir.
Fall in!
Who's he talking to?
Fall in!
What do you mean, fall in? We're through. Didn't you get our note?
Yes, I got your note, and when you signed it, you signed your own death warrant. You're under arrest for desertion. Now, fall in!
Well,
Throw them into jail and have the guard to keep a close watch on them.
yes, sir.
Forward! Out!
They arrive at the jail.
2 deserters. Deserters, eh? Come on, I'll show you to your suite.
The jailer opens the cell door. He pushes Stan in.
Hey, come
He notices Ollie went farther down the hall. So he grabs Ollie. Meanwhile, Stan has walked back out behind the jailer. He pushes Ollie back into the cell, locks the door, not realizing that Stan is behind him.
Show them where to get off at.
The jailer goes back to his desk, followed by Stan, who sits on the edge of the desk. He drags Stan back into his cell and closes the door. Starts to walk away.
What? You forgot your keys. Look.
Why don't you keep your mouth shut?
All the post's officers are around the Commandant's desk, voting on what to do with Stan and Ollie.
The prisoners have been found guilty and will be shot at sunrise.
There's a nice pickle we're in. Shot at sunrise.
I hope it's cloudy tomorrow. Say, Ollie,
What?
do you still want to come back as a horse?
I don't care if I never come back.
Stan absent-mindedly plucks a bed frame wire. He finds a wire that sounds wrong, so he lifts up the frame and tightens the offending wire. He places it between his legs and plays it like a harp. Ollie glares. He strokes the last chord with his foot.
I'll play another one now. Shut up!
When the jailer yelled, Stan let go of the bed frame, and it fell on Ollie, trapping his head inside the wires. Stan eventually gets Ollie free. A hand drops a note through the window bars. Ollie opens the note. It reads, "Lift up the floorboard and you'll find a tunnel which leads to the outer wall. Use your own judgment. Appel."
Well, guess we better get some sleep.
Ollie lifts the floorboard.
Hey, what? Get in there. What for? Never mind what for. Hurry up. Come on, get in. Let a fella know. Take this candle. Shh, now go ahead.
They crawl along a long, dark tunnel with nothing but a lit candle in a bottle.
Say, where are we going?
This tunnel leads to the outside wall. We're making our escape.
Well, are we allowed to do that?
Go ahead.
Somebody asked you. You're allowed to do that. Isn't this fun? They don't know where we are.
It sure is. I'm dying with laughter. Go ahead.
Don't do it.
The scuffle causes a mound of dirt to cave in front of them.
See what you've done? Now we've got to dig our way out. Go back to the cell and get those 10 plates.
I don't want to go back to the cell.
Will you hurry? This is our last chance.
Why do I have to always do everything?
Stan awkwardly crawls over Ollie to go back for the tin plates.
Me? What you have done? Never you.
Meanwhile, it's morning, and the sun has risen.
Bring the prisoners. Yes, sir. All right, come on, you. The sun's up. Come on. Oh! Come on. Escape. What? Give me the commandant. Sir, the prisoners have escaped.
What? The prisoners have escaped? Then find them.
Yes, sir.
I want both those prisoners brought back dead or alive. Call out the entire post if necessary.
I wonder what time it is.
Now, how do I know?
We should be beyond the wall by now. Seems like we've been working.
I guess you're right. We better start digging up.
It's a good idea, man.
Back in Francois' quarters, Georgette is brushing her hair.
Don't you dare go back to Paris again and leave me alone, see?
Darling.
Bring up a bottle of that special vintage wine from the cellar, will you?
Yes, sir.
Francois playfully picks up her brush and brushes her hair.
Will you get out of here?
I'm not
It's
trying-
not my time to get dressed. You're coming in and annoying me. Now go.
In the cellar, Francois' guard retrieves a bottle of wine and returns. As he leaves, one of the wine barrels moves. It's the boys coming up from the tunnel.
we are. Maybe some saloon outside the fort. See if the coast is clear.
I don't want to see if the coast is clear.
Go ahead. Open it.
The door leads up to Francois' quarters.
Georgette, may I come in?
They hide in a furniture closet.
Georgette? You all right?
Francois leaves. Georgette comes in the room to brush her hair. Stan lets out a wild sneeze. The closet turns over. Georgette sees it and faints. Stan and Ollie bust out of the closet, draped in women's clothing.
At a time like this, you had to do that. Quick, help me get her on the bed. Get her feet. Quick, get me a glass of water.
Ollie kisses her forehead, then starts patting her hand. Then kisses her hand as Francois enters the room. Francois moves his holster to his side. Ollie grabs a glass. Instead of filling it, Stan pours the pitcher of water on Georgette's head.
Of this.
What'll we say? You think up your story. I've got mine.
Stan and Ollie take off out the window.
Now pay strict attention, all of you. The men who were to be shot this morning have escaped. Be sure all gates are closed and make a thorough search of the entire barracks. Whoever brings them back will be given a reward of 6 weeks' furlough. That's all.
All the Legionnaires take off in pursuit. Two locals wearing long robes and capes walk across the courtyard. Stan and Ollie climb down the tree. We see the two walking locals again. This time, something looks strange about them. They seem to have 4 legs each and humps behind their backs. Nobody seems to notice. Once they reach the far side of the courtyard, Stan and Ollie emerge. They take off with a group of pursuers on their heels. They hide in a small guardhouse as the followers go by. They end up cornered and must go down some stairs to the jail. They enter the jail and run into their previous cell. The jailer watches as a long line of legionnaires follow into the cell. The floorboard hiding the tunnel falls shut. The jailer goes to investigate the cell. Shakes his head like he's going crazy. Inside the tunnel, the boys are crawling rapidly, followed by the legionnaires. Stan and Ollie arrive at the wine cellar. The legionnaires start popping their heads up from the tunnel. The boys decide to shake up wine bottles and shoot them with the corks. They shoot 4 or 5 of them until they stop appearing.
Let's cover up the hole.
They decide to cover the tunnel with a wine cask. The barrel is unplugged and the wine gushes into the hole. Back at the jail, drunken legionnaires exit the cell one by one, to the amazement of the jailer. Stan and Ollie are outside by the gate to the hangar. The guard comes out of the guardhouse and opens the gate to see who is knocking. They sneak by him as his back is turned. The guard notices them and fires. Squads of legionnaires run through the gate and take up the chase. They run across the airfield and into a hangar. Stan and Ollie scrunch down inside an airplane to hide from the soldiers searching the hangar.
Hey, what? See if they're gone. Yeah, we're giving them the slip. Good, now let's get out of here.
Stan pulls on a lever to help him get up. It turns out to be the starter. The plane starts up and starts to move. They jump into pilot's seats and try to steer with the steering wheels. The plane moves down the runway as a large group of legionnaires chase it. The plane makes a 180-degree turn, and now it is chasing the soldiers. It turns around again, and now the soldiers follow it. Now it turns and chases the soldiers into the hangar. The plane leaves the hangar. Stan and Ollie are frantically trying to control the plane, but are losing the battle. The plane taxis down a runway like a leapfrog, repeatedly landing, then gaining a few feet of air, then landing again. Eventually, they get airborne. They try to land again, but end up leapfrogging. They are back in the air, and the plane dives towards a bunch of Legionnaires who have to dive to the ground to avoid the plane. Ollie and his steering wheel are thrown back out of his chair. When the plane starts diving, he slides back to the front of the plane, wrapped up in a parachute. Stan leaves his seat and tries to unwrap him. Finally, the chute flies out of the plane. Stan goes to his seat and tries to steer, just as Ollie falls through a hole in the plane floor. His legs go all the way through. Stan helps him up. They are frantically trying to control the plane. When it dives towards the clothesline hanging city below, they fly through the clotheslines and end up with laundry blowing around inside the plane. They just miss some very dangerous looking rock cliffs. And run into a flock of pigeons. Now there are birds and feathers flying around in the plane. Both of their steering wheels have now come loose. The plane takes a spinning dive and crashes. When the smoke clears, we see the plane crashed headfirst and is buried halfway into the ground. Stan crawls out of the ground. As he dusts himself off, he sees an angelic Ollie rising into the sky. Later, Stan is walking down a dirt road with a hobo sack on a stick over his shoulder.
Hey, Stan! Look! I'm over here!
He hears Ollie's voice and looks to see where it's coming from.
Well, here's another nice mess you've gotten me into.
It's a white horse wearing Ollie's hat and a square mustache.
Ollie, is that really you?
Well, of course it's me.
Gee, I'm glad to see you.
Stan hugs the horse.